The bold and the beautiful, Hope faces the reckoning, redemption, reunion, and the end of the war in the ever-twisting corridors of the bold and the beautiful. Nothing stays peaceful for long. But sometimes, in the shadow of tragedy, clarity emerges. For Hope Logan, that moment may finally have arrived. The recent series of events, a potential loss, fractured relationships, and her own internal conflict is forcing Hope to confront everything she's become and decide whether she wants to salvage who she used to be. A woman once known for compassion, decency, and inner strength now teeters dangerously close to becoming what she used to fight against. Hope's journey back begins with a single, crucial decision: to end the war with Steffi, not temporarily, not until the next fight, but permanently. Hope and Steffi have battled for years, over love, loyalty, and legacy. But the world is shifting. The men in their lives, Liam Spencer and Dr. John Finn Finnegan, have set a new precedent. Enemies turned allies. They've buried old hatchets and stood together through one of the darkest tests either has faced. Their truce isn't superficial. It's a genuine brotherhood formed in the fire of grief and fear. This should be a wake-up call for Hope. If Liam, once obsessed with his rivalry with Finn, can recognize the value of peace and unity, why can't Hope? The pettiness, the jealousy, the low-stakes sparring that once seemed so important suddenly feels hollow. And for once, both Hope and Steffi seem to see that. There's a quiet understanding between them now, unspoken, but undeniable. The fighting has to end. Not just for their sanity, not just for their children, but for themselves. Because the real war Hope has been waging isn't with Steffi, it's with herself. There was a time when Hope embodied every quality that made viewers root for her. She had integrity. She believed in family. She made the hard choices because they were right, not because they were easy. But somewhere along the way, ambition crept in. Entitlement followed. And then, power. Slowly, subtly, Hope Logan, the heart of the Logan family, began to morph into someone else entirely. It wasn't just the way she looked at Finn, the hunger in her eyes for a man married to her longtime rival. It wasn't just her cold manipulation behind Carter Walton's bid to take Forrester Creations out from under Steffi. It was all of it. A pattern. A path. A transformation from heroine to potential villain. But now, at the precipice of loss, with Liam's health hanging by a thread, the mask may finally crack. And the real Hope, the one that still exists somewhere deep beneath the cynicism, might finally come up for air. And the first person who deserves an apology? Steffi. Hope needs to look Steffi in the eye and own up fully, directly, without deflection, to the way she coveted Finn. To the betrayal it represented, both as a woman and as a sister-in-law. Because make no mistake, Hope's flirtation wasn't innocent. It was deliberate, bold, and beneath her. She overstepped. She acted out of ego, not love. And even if nothing physical happened, the intent was clear. Steffi saw it. The audience saw it. And most importantly, Hope saw it. She needs to say it. She needs to apologize, without conditions or excuses. And then she needs to do something even harder: forgive Steffi in return. For the years of rivalry. For Liam. For everything. Let it go. Not for show. Not for temporary peace. But forever. Because they are no longer just two women chasing the same man. They're mothers. Leaders. Examples. And after Steffi, the next stop on Hope's apology tour should be Ridge and Eric Forrester. When you bite the hand that has fed and supported your career repeatedly, there comes a time when the pride has to be swallowed. Yes, Ridge may have spoken harshly. Yes, he may have been unfair. But so was Hope. She spent too much time justifying her actions and not enough time acknowledging the hurt they caused. Going to Ridge and Eric and offering a real, unfiltered apology would mean something. It would be a sign that she's not just pretending to change. She's actually doing it. And Ridge? He needs to meet her halfway. The way he's talked about hope lately, the judgment, the derision, it's crossed a line. He may be fiercely loyal to Steffi, but dismissing Hope's humanity in the process was not the answer. When Hope shows up to apologize, Ridge should do the same. They're both flawed. They've both misstepped. And maybe that's what makes reconciliation possible. Mutual recognition. Mutual humility. But make no mistake, none of this is about public image. This is about survival. Because while Hope is reassessing her life, Liam Spencer may not survive this storyline. Rumors of his terminal illness have rocked the canvas, and with it, every relationship tethered to him. If Liam is dying, everything changes. The childishness ends. The games stop. The illusions are shattered. Beth, their daughter, will need strength. Real strength. Not the performative kind. Not the brand-driven, social media-filtered version of motherhood. But real, raw, painful strength. Hope will have to hold her family together. She'll have to show up not as a businesswoman or a fashion figurehead, but as a mother and a wife. And maybe that's what saves her. Maybe caring for Liam through his illness forces her to rediscover the compassion she's lost. Maybe looking into Beth's eyes reminds her of who she is, who she was, who she can still be. And maybe, just maybe, this is a test. Not of her business acumen, not of her ambition, but of her soul. Because if Liam dies, the consequences will be permanent. Not just for Beth, not just for Steffi, but for Hope. She'll carry that with her forever. The regrets, the could-have-beens. But if Liam lives, and maybe he will, then this is a chance to rewrite everything. A resurrection. A reboot. A moment to bring back the Hope Logan people once admired. The Hope Logan who didn't crave control, but earned respect. Who didn't manipulate people, but inspired them. If Liam survives, Hope has to change. Not because it's strategic. Not because it's expected. But because it's the only way to save what's left of herself. And if that happens, maybe, just maybe, we see a real reunion. Not a rushed reconciliation. Not a temporary moment of comfort. But a true, earned reunion. Hope and Liam, united not by obligation or guilt, but by rediscovered love and a shared understanding of what matters. Beth deserves that. Hope deserves that. And maybe even Liam deserves that too. Because the truth is, Liam's been a mess. For years. Waffling. Lying. Flipping between Steffi and Hope like a man incapable of clarity. But facing death can sharpen the mind. Strip away distraction. And maybe this brush with mortality is exactly what he needed to become someone worth loving again. Not a fantasy. Not a fixer-upper. But a man. One woman. One life. One future. And if that's true, if Liam emerges from this refined, focused, loyal, then Hope's transformation matters even more. Because now, they're not just better people. They're a better couple. So where does that leave us? It leaves us with a new reality in the bold and the beautiful. A world where old enemies become allies. Where rivalries end, not in fire, but in forgiveness. Where apologies aren't weakness, but strength. Where tragedy becomes the crucible that forges truth. And where Hope, the real Hope, might finally come home. Not to a company, not to a title, but to herself. And for the first time in a long time, that might actually be enough.
Oh,